because Serie B is it's a wild league and a lot of things go on. So
it's a wild league. Well said. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of. We're gonna laugh a lot about our predictions.
Guaranteed to be wrong. Let's just
absolutely 100%.
Cittadella are the only team in Veneto for this season because Vicenza failed to get promoted. Venezia went up to Serie A.
I would be happy with Carrarese and Reggiana being last and second to last. We are going to be touching upon each and every one of the teams on the league, so stay with us, interact with us, and together we're going to be speaking Serie B. Roma!
Welcome to episode 19 of Speaking Serie B. A happy new year to all. Happy 2025. We're starting off the year right with another episode of Speaking Serie B. It's been a while. It's been only 2 weeks, but yet three match weeks have happened. 3 games have happened for both Cittadella and Spezia, as well as for all the other teams in the league. So we have a lot to talk about. To help me is, of course, Elia, the Italian guy who is from Speziato. Elia, how are you?
Very good. Thank you very much for the intro, Jake. It's good to be here. Good to be here to start the new year right. A lot has changed. So I honestly don't even remember all the results, of course. So we're going to be checking them all out and compare them with our predictions.
Yeah. It's like, I was doing a podcast a few days ago, just before New Year's Eve, and it was kind of recapping Cittadella's win against Palermo, and I was just saying, how things could change, because we were sitting here 3 weeks ago. Cittadella were coming off their joint worst defeat in La Spezia, 5-0, and that was the largest defeat as well as the 6-1 defeat against Sassuolo earlier in club history, or at least in professional club history. And Cittadella were bottom, and we were kind of saying, maybe this fairy tale of Cittadella is coming to an end, or maybe it's kind of not the same magic, and we were kind of accepting our faith to Serie C. And look what happens now. Cittadella enters the new year above the relegation zone.
Never count Cittadella out, man.
That's just shows you like the beauty of Serie B. Like,
absolutely.
You just a few results can change your season. And I wouldn't say it's I don't know if this is going to happen, but Cittadella, if they get like 2 more wins, they're probably thinking of playoffs, which is quite crazy to think.
That's how quickly things can change. I agree.
Exactly.
Those who started right, with Spezia only collecting 1 loss in the first half of the championship, started with a loss, and Cittadella, who was struggling, ended with 4 consecutive positive results, a draw and 3 consecutive wins. Like, unbelievable. So good on you guys. Good on you. So let's check these things out, because after you tell us how many games that Cittadella wasn't winning at home, finally it has happened again.
Yeah, that was, it's been a really rough 2024, and these 3 good results, or the 4 results, really don't I don't think they are going to overshadow what has been just a really poor year overall for Cittadella, but they end it in style. I mean, winning against Reggiana for the first time since, that was back then, it was 343 days since they last won. They had not won at the Tombolato since it was 13th of January, and they were able to win a huge game against Reggiana. It was a scontri diretti, a direct relegation 6-pointer. And then they followed that on Boxing Day against Südtirol in Bolzano, coming down from 1-0, something we haven't seen all season, and they get another win. So now they're off the bounce of 2 wins. They go into the last game against Palermo, where even though this year has been difficult, they've already beaten Palermo twice, and they get a 3rd win after a 90th minute winner from Eduardo Massangelo. And, the crowd was just insane. I was speaking on my podcast, saying how that was probably the loudest I've ever heard the stadium, erupt, probably since, I don't know, maybe the playoff final against Verona some years ago, or the game against Sampdoria earlier this year. I don't know, but yeah, like just at the end, it just seemed like a huge sigh of relief, and Chita is believing again, as I
Nice.
as I say, and they're entering this year outside the relegation zone, and it's a good stepping platform. But I will say, the job's not finished. There's still lots of seasons to go, but this is what a way to end the year.
We are at the turnaround point in many ways, probably also because you mentioned that it was a direct game with Reggiana, but it was even more so probably with Südtirol at that point. So uh,
Yes,
coming back home with it wasn't that much of an away game. You were saying in one of our previous episodes, distance-wise, geographically for the supporters, but facing a team that was at the bottom of the table, I think the same amount of points at that point, or very
correct.
close to you guys.
Yeah, we're
We
both in the relegation zone.
It was a clear signal also, and we're here to stay, we're still alive, we believe. So good on you.
Yeah, and coming back from a goal down. Remember, they conceded like within 10 minutes of the game, and Cittadella's heads. We've been talking about this year. Like once they get conceded on, that's kind of it. The heads drop, but to show like the mental fightness to come back, and besides those two goals, that I definitely think that was one of their better performances of the year. So
Although even in Palermo it wasn't that easy, because I think you were leading, then Palermo caught up, and then you score again.
yeah,
Because I was as a guest on 90-minute special, 90esimo speciale Serie B, as they were announcing live the goal, the equalizer of Palermo. So I had to celebrate the goal as I normally do with the bell when Spezia wins. But since I was as a guest, I said, okay, should they score now? I'm gonna do that just to to show what we do on the
yes.
channel. And I felt kind of bad that I was celebrating a Palermo's goal against Cittadella,
No,
given what we're
it's
doing
good.
together
Yeah,
and how
and
much
even
I like your
even
team.
in that second half, I think Palermo definitely played better in the second half. They got the goal. Even a red card was shown for Cittadella, but VAR overturned it.
It
But
was
Palermo,
right before the equalizer, right? That they didn't
yes,
know if it
yes.
was a penalty within the box or
Yeah, it was a
outside.
free
Yeah.
kick. Brunori hit the post, and then it fell to the American Lund, actually,
Ah,
the USA international, who he scored. And Palermo was kind of attacking. They missed a huge chance right at the stroke of stoppage time to go ahead, and they kind of he missed from like 6 yards out. It was an open goal, and then Massangelo kind of just gets the ball on the left hand flank. He does, some step overs, cuts in, and fires it. If you look at an angle from one of the videographers for Cittadella, who I was actually talking to before and after the game, he caught the angle. He was literally the ball went through three Palermo defenders and through the legs of one of the Cittadella's attacking players, Simone Rabbi, and off the post and into the goal. So it was just crazy scenes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Anyway,
whole
listening to
stadium.
what you're saying, these are seriously solid results, not only for the table, 4 consecutive positive results, a draw and 3 wins, but also for the way they've been achieved by the team. So the team
Exactly.
is back, even mentally, I assume. So
Yeah,
um,
I think so.
on to some serious comeback probably for Cittadella in the second half.
Yeah. Let's see. They have a little bit of a break now, which I think does help them because they are still dealing with some injuries, and maybe they could recover some of that and kind of just recharge a little bit because it
Well,
was 3 games in 1 week, so it was a big toll on the players. But just towards the end of the game, the whole stadium was kind of chanting, and I think it was one of the loudest I've ever heard it. They were saying,
nice.
Vinci per noi, magico città, they were saying that.
Nice,
So
nice,
it
nice.
was a really fun atmosphere, I would say. But, yeah, Cittadella entering the year outside the relegation zone. But now that's enough about me. I want to hear about you, Elia. How about
No,
how's Spezia been these last few
well,
weeks?
it hasn't been as exciting for us as it has been for Cittadella, given they come back. First of all, speaking of injuries, great possibility you were saying for Cittadella to recoup more players. But it's news of the day that Sar, the goalkeeper, who recently came back from a serious injury, and during a session where he was basically training on his own together with the coach, but not with the rest of the team, to come back as soon as possible. He was already part of the team, but now he was training on his own, basically, with his trainer, and he got a serious new injury. So they've already did surgery on him, and he's out again. I'm just sorry because, the guy was performing well at the beginning of the season, coming back from a very big injury already last season, and then he broke his shoulder, and now he is Omero, I think. So again, it's really, I'm sorry at a human level for the player. That's all. But anyhow, speaking of the results that we didn't have the possibility to touch upon in the previous episodes, just making predictions on 3 consecutive rounds. Spezia came back from Catanzaro with a nice win, 3 points scored away with a good performance, facing a solid team that was performing very well. I mean, Catanzaro is doing well. They draw a bunch of games, including the derby, in round 19 with Cosenza.
That was crazy, by the way.
Yes, yeah, but that's a classic. Like,
Actually, I think I read somewhere that it overtook the Palermo. I think it was from Stulak against Spezia for the latest goal ever scored.
Right, it was like 106 minutes, I guess, something 16th, like that.
Yeah, 16th. Because there was a VAR check, there was a goal disallowed, there was a.
We'll talk about it. I'm happy for Alvini, exactly. Seriously, and for the Wolves. So they keep themselves alive, although they're at the bottom of the table right now. But exactly. A derby is a derby, and it's always a great satisfaction for the fans. So anyhow, after Catanzaro, Spezia face Mantova at home, and we gotta just recognize how I don't know what's the right term, but the good performance by Mantova. There aren't that many teams that are coming in La Spezia facing Spezia openly. Instead, Mantova came to play their game. They really started the game right, and they didn't have any fear. Most teams that come to Spezia, their main goal is to avoid the Spezia can express themselves. I remember, for example, with Bari in La Spezia played only to avoid the Spezia could express themselves. They exclusively defend themselves in their half. Instead, Mantova started the game openly. It was a nice game. They found the goal that allowed them to get ahead, 1-0. But then they remain with 10 players. And from that point on, it seemed like that it was an easy task for Spezia to recoup the result, but it wasn't. So actually, it could have been better if Mantova remained with 11 players, because probably they would have continued to play openly, conceding more opportunity to Spezia, potentially. But remaining in 10 player forced, basically, Mantova to defend the result, since they were leading by a goal already, and Spezia just didn't have any possibility to breach. Actually, they had a few occasions, but they weren't precise enough. So finally, Diego Falcinelli, that joined the squad last year for the winter session, finally was able, after almost a year, although it has been a protagonist of last season avoiding relegation battle, he was able to finally score his first goal in Spezia, and it was a precious one because he prevented us from losing the game in our Alberto Picco. But it has been a very particular game, and hopefully we won't see that many of those, because it was really tough for us. We dominated, but we weren't able to draw until the 93rd minute, I guess. And then we went to Bari, facing a Bari that after losing the first 2 games of the season, and after 14 consecutive results, lost with Pisa in Pisa. They lost in Bari with Südtirol, and then they lost in Palermo. So they couldn't underperform any longer, basically, and they devastated us. Like, they dominated Spezia in Bari for the first half an hour, and when Spezia was trying to come back, they hit a post, and Spezia. I mean, with Francesco Piesposito hit a post, but Bari had the occasion to score again, and they rightfully so won 2-0. It was they deserved the win. They deserved the win. So it was. We started with a good away win with Catanzaro. We drew it on with Mantova, and we lost in Bari. So probably in Bari, the players they just weren't there mentally anymore. Like they did such a strong first half of the season that they just wanted to go home and celebrate the end of the year. So we hope that the break will help us, and I'm sure it will, to regain the mindset to perform as Spezia did in the first half. So that's it for now, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned to me. I think it was a few days ago that it seemed like the players were just tired mentally. I mean, it was the third game in a week, and I think it's just that's what happens when you're in a promotion chasing. Just it mentally it just drains you, and
Right.
unfortunately for you guys, you do lose a bit of ground because Pisa and Sassuolo have been winning. Sassuolo actually came back on that same day to get a win against Cosenza, and then Pisa has just been absolutely killing it in against Sassuolo and against Sampdoria. So I think we could, if we don't have anything else to add, we could kind of get into these results from these last three games.
I just wanted to show the standing, and so, this is what we're seeing now in light of what you were saying, that the first three spots remain the same with Sassuolo, Pisa, and Spezia, but Spezia losing some ground to Pisa and Sassuolo. We still have a lead of 8 points. It used to be of 9 points before these last three rounds. So the good thing is that we lost ground to the top one from the top twos, but in the back, everybody is really battling. And as you said, a couple of results can change things for almost all the other teams. But we were able to keep this pillow of points between the third and the fourth place. So Cremonese is now at the fourth place with 30 points. Juve Stabia at the fifth place with 29 points. And then three teams with 27 points. Catanzaro, Bari, and surprisingly, Carrarese. Oh my! Do you have anything to say about these first 8 spots for the playoff situation?
No, it's just like you said, Carrarese. I mean, what a rise it's been, and I think we have to give them a lot of credit because we all thought they were going to be like another Lecco, just being promoted after so many years, and just being able to do this. It's just been really really remarkable, and like I said, we all expected them just to be in the relegation zone. They started pretty poorly, only like a win in their first 6-7 games, and then they've really turned it on. So fair play.
I don't know what happened in Carrara. Maybe coming back to the Stadio dei Marmi or the synthetic surface. I don't know, but something really changed.
Maybe it is that because they've been getting home wins against teams like Cesena, Palermo,
Pisa.
Pisa. Yeah, that's maybe it is the stadium there. So
unbelievable. Yeah, there is a lot of enthusiasm for sure. Then at the 9th place with 25 points, Modena, the same amount of point with Cesena. But see how great these 4 promoted teams, newly promoted teams, Juve Stabia 5th place, Carrarese, Cesena, and following up, Mantova is slightly behind. But seriously, they're solid performances by the newly promoted team. Then at the 11th place, Palermo with 24 points, the same amount of points that Reggiana has. And then with 23 points, 3 teams, Brescia, Mantova, and now Cittadella. And then in the end of the table, basically, with 20 points, Sampdoria and Frosinone. And then Salernitana and Südtirol with 18 points. And Cosenza, the last place with 17 points. Not in a good shape, not looking good with 4 losses in the 5 most recent games. Jake. We lost you. Sorry. Take your time. Let's take a look at what are the predictions we made on these most recent round. I don't know if you have anything to add, a comment at the bottom of the table if you want to.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to, check something real quick.
Don't worry about it.
The bottom half, like I said, Cittadella with those 3 straight wins gets them out of the relegation zone. Sampdoria kind of falling behind. Cosenza, it's a weird situation because we were saying, they were kind of a mid-table team not too long ago, and they had that 4-point point deduction, and they've just been, kind of falling since then. Sutiro there, Salernitana, they actually just sacked Colantuono, so Salernitana have a new coach. Frosinone kind of picking up, some good results to lift them out of the automatic relegation zone, but still there. Brescia is one of those teams that are kind of slowly drifting down a little bit.
Mhm.
They did get a draw, which is a good draw against Cremonese, where they were down 10 men and then they equalized in like the 96th minute in the derby against Cremonese. Another team that we kind of have to touch upon is Cesena, which is actually Cittadella's next opponent. Cesena, after I think the injury of Christian Schipendi, who is their leading goal scorer and the leading goal scorer in the league, who has been injured for a while, and since then they have not been able to get that attacking spark. They actually have been scoreless in their last 3 games, which they've been losing. So,
and I believe is one of those teams that prepare themselves to start the championship really strong. I remember how they're attacking everybody. The intensity that they always put on the field, and then they kind of slow down in the course of the team and probably in the course of the championship as well. They prepare the championship to score as many points as possible in the first half, and I think they're not going to be able to perform as well as they did in the first part of the first half of the championship in the remaining games. So we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. And obviously, you're looking there at Palermo, which has been pretty disappointing this season. I think they were saying that Dionisi was kind of on the hot seat entering that Cittadella game, and that was kind of his last chance. Well, they lose, so I don't know if Dionisi is going to get the sack. So we'll have to see. But yeah, it's a very interesting table going into this new year. Remember, there is a rule that states that if the third place team is
Right.
14 points or more, I believe it is 14 points
Right.
or higher, they will no playoffs is played.
So basically 15, but yes, that would be the only way to avoid the playoffs. But I think it's highly unlikely in light of all, the interests that are behind everything. So they're doing everything in their power to prevent lose all these games, even for
I don't know,
TV rights. And
just 14 points is a lot, and
yeah, exactly.
It's even if they get to like 6 points or 9 points, it's still playoffs is gonna be played.
Yeah, that's why they're gonna do anything in their power to make sure that the playoff will be played. Not to avoid the playoff. That's why the rules are so.
I think
so
just 14 points is just too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's unlikely that we're going to avoid.
You don't see that often.
It's good for the show, but it's not that good for the third place, especially if there is this this drop in between the third and the fourth. Like if the third and the fourth are close, that's fine. That's fair enough. But if there is a sort of a dent there, but anyhow, let's see how we did with our predictions for these 3 most recent rounds. Let me get the results. Okay, starting on round 18. I'll let you read them. There you go. Round 18.
Let's see. Round 18. Man, this feels like a eternity ago. But Salernitana Brescia 0-0. I heard that was a really awful game, but I get a point for that. Bari Sutiro, this kind of set up the game in Bolzano. Sutiro scoring late to get a win, stopping Bari's streak, or getting their second straight loss, I believe. 0 points for us.
Yeah, that was the game after Pisa, correct?
Yes. So Sassuolo Palermo 2-1. I get a point for that. But Elia, you get a point for Mantova Frosinone. That was a Mantova victory. Carrarese Cosenza 1-0 for Carrarese. They are on quite some streak, so 0 points for both of us. Cittadella Reggiana, I was confident, and there we go. I get I was saying, like, this is the moment. They're gonna get the win, and we both agreed, so we go get a point. Catanzaro Spezia getting way victory, and Elia, you get 1 point for that as well. but 0 points for us for Modena Pisa, where Modena got a surprise win against the second place Pisa. So that was probably the surprise of the round.
Yeah,
Then
this result, sorry if I interrupt, allows Spezia to reach Pisa. At that point, we had the same amount of points. So it made us hope that we could actually continue on, with that important win away and drop them in the second half. Then we got a reality check with a draw and a loss. But yeah, that was an exciting time.
Yes, exactly. So, moving on to Juve Stabia against Cesena. Now, this game kind of made headlines for kind of the wrong reasons, if you didn't know, because Romano Floriani Mussolini, who is obviously Benito Mussolini's great grandson, he scored in this game, and the whole like the stadium announcers, when they score goals, they go like I don't know, let me think of a name, like they say the first name and they yell out the last name. So
Right.
like Francesco Pio Esposito.
I was thinking about the same player. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, I was thinking about Francesco Pio Esposito. Right, go ahead. Anyway.
Yeah. So that was just an example.
So many
but
players.
they video of that was filmed, and the whole stadium was chanting Mussolini, which was a bit bizarre, and that actually made international news, and it was all over.
No, I didn't even know.
English speaking news. But yeah, that's another reason why Serie B is quite the league when you think about it. But anyway,
yeah, that's his name, so whatever.
Juve Stabia getting a win against Cesena, and I get a point for that. And you finish it off with Cremonese Sampdoria ending in a draw, and you get a point. So the final score for round 18 is 4-4.
Yeah, so
pretty good.
It left us basically where we were. I was behind 65-63, so that brought us basically to 67-69. 2-point lead that remains. So for you, I didn't update it. I just did it at the end of the 3 rounds. So let's carry on with the results of round 19.
Boxing Day, yeah. So Pisa Sassuolo. This was the biggest match, I think, of the season. And before the game, like I was thinking, like I think Pisa's got this. They got it. They're at home. They expected a big crowd, and they were up 3-0 at one point. So fair play to Pisa. They really that was really a statement win.
Yes, seriously, I did not see this coming. I of course we predicted an X, but if one of the two teams I thought was going to win, I was thinking in my mind it's going to be because of an episode, maybe a penalty or something that happens. But a 3-0, and then Sassuolo was able just to score at the end. I did not see this coming. Like, congratulations to Pisa. And if you look at the stats, Sassuolo played his own game, like they dominated, but Pisa scored. So that's what mattered, I guess. You know what I mean?
That's what we were talking about in the last episode. Pisa is one of the teams with the lowest amount of average possession per game, but yet they are where they are because they do play their game. And I don't know what magic Filippo Inzaghi does before every season, but seems like he just really knows the league. And I do hope they eventually get promoted, and so Inzaghi just stays in Serie A, because he's kind of like Massimo Coda, where he always just stays in Serie B, terrorizing Cittadella every year. And so, I just want him out of the league. Just stay in Serie A, please.
I understand.
But yeah, that's a really good, jokes aside, really good win for Pisa, which I don't know. As a Spezia point of view, was that a I know either side was going to drop points, so you do close the gap a little bit to Sassuolo, but were you hoping for a Sassuolo victory? Because I think we could kind of both agree that, despite this result, I think Sassuolo really is going to finish in that top 2.
Yes, so if we were closer to the end, yes, I would have wanted Sassuolo to win, and then we would have run on, make a run basically on Pisa, knowing that Sassuolo is playing their own championship. But we were right before actually it was the last game of the Girone d'Andata. So I thought, we are at a halfway point. A draw would be ideal, and then we can still play on both of them and see how it evolves. But yeah, I didn't see Pisa win. And yeah, we gained points on Sassuolo, but Sassuolo is almost unreachable from my point of view this season. So it is
Yeah,
what it is. Now we just got to play a game at a time. And because,
exactly.
we lost, we draw with Mantova at home, and then Mantova lost with Reggiana 0-2 in Mantova. So it's so unpredictable. You just got to think about a game at a time, a game at a time. This is Serie B, man. You can't make
Exactly.
projections. Everything
And
is unpredictable.
you never know what's going to happen in each game. Like you said,
Exactly.
Mantova getting a red card out of nowhere, which kind of changes the game strangely in the way probably that favors Mantova and limits Spezia, as you said, for the um, they're not being as open. They were
Right.
really forcing
I mean,
Spezia
that's
to
my
break them down.
interpretation. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, like we said, Spezia getting a 1-1 draw there, 0 points for either of us on our predictions. But I do get a point for predicting Frosinone beating Salernitana 2-0. Salernitana really struggling at the moment. Südtirol, Cittadella, like we said, Cittadella coming from behind, Pandolfi scoring in the 80th minute to get a win there. But we both thought it was going to be a draw, so 0 points for us. Brescia Modena. This was probably the most exciting game of the round. 3-3, crazy game at the Rigamonti. But we both get 0 points for this because we did
Right.
not expect it.
I
Do you
think
have
this has
anything
been
to
one of the worst prediction point wise. We never score so little points, so few points. Back to Südtirol Cittadella. Yeah, I just thought that both teams would have been too tense, because of the reasons we mentioned earlier. They were both of them basically at the bottom of the table, and I just thought that there was too much on the table for them
Yeah,
to be able to face each other
yeah.
openly. But it turned
And
out to be a great
I
game, I guess.
Like this game kind of caught me by surprise because I did not expect it to be that open in the first half. There was so many chances for both sides. Like Cittadella could have been winning 3-0 at halftime, and Sutsuro could have been winning 3-0
Right.
at halftime. It was really an open game, and I did not expect that. The last few meetings in Bolzano has just been really tense, really physical, but it didn't end up being that way. So that
Us,
kind of
us.
caught me by surprise. But Reggiana, Juve Stabia, I get a point for this because I was confident that Reggiana would win, and they did win 2-1 in the Mappe Stadium. Then we have Cesena, Cremonese. Cremonese getting a away win, but we don't get any points for this once again. Cosenza, Catanzaro. Wow, what? I mean, where to start on this? I mean, this game, Cosenza going down to 10 men, Catanzaro scoring in the 82nd minute, I think, or in the 80th minute, something like that. Then it was in stoppage time. There was a goal for Cosenza that was disallowed, and then there was a handball in the box that the referee had to go to the monitor, and they awarded a penalty. Literally after the penalty, he called the game. That was over. So it was the latest goal ever scored in Serie B, I believe it was. And just the scenes after, the Cosenza fans just going nuts with the players. Max Salvini, who was crying on the bench,
Yes, I
it
saw
was
that.
full of emotion. It was just an unbelievable game. I mean,
Great, yeah, absolutely.
were you end up seeing this or?
I saw bits of it, like highlights. People sent me videos. I'm in good relationship with a few journalists from Cosenza, so I send them audios. So I'm happy. I'm happy because, as they say, il lupo non muore mai. The wolf never dies, and the
Yeah,
derby is a derby. I know how felt it was. So
even
I'm
though
happy that they
I
didn't
don't know.
disappoint.
From a Cittadella's perspective, I think we were hoping for a Cosenza loss because
Right.
that would put them more down. But at the bottom, at the end of the day, Cittadella winning, I think that's what matters. But Palermo, Bari moving on. Palermo getting a win because kind of stopped their 3-game losing streak. But once again, no points for either of us. And then Sampdoria, Cardedese getting a draw at the Marassi. You get 1 point for Elia. So,
And
man,
this is how poorly we've done.
yeah,
One
that's
me and two you.
really a horrible round. But I still gain 1 point in the
Indeed,
lead.
indeed.
So the final, or not the final, round 20. So this
Yeah.
is the final
Of
on the
these three that we
29th.
predicted in the previous episode, correct? Yeah.
Yes. So Cremonese 1-1 against Brescia. Like I said, this was another crazy game. Brescia scoring in the last minutes with down a man. But this denied me or denied both of us 1 point each. So that happened. Modena Südtirol 0-0. I do get 1 point for predicting a draw. Bari Spezia, like we've been already talked about, Bari getting a win over a really unenergized Spezia team.
The fall of the Eagles.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I get 1 point for that. But then, Ilya, I see that you have 3 straight points here,
Yeah,
starting
more
with
than that. More than that. Carry on.
Sassuolo Cosenza 2-1. Sassuolo completing a late comeback. I was close to a point here, but Elia, you get one. And then Mantova Reggiana, you predicted a Reggiana victory, and you do. I thought this was a kind of a surprise result as well. Carrarese, Cesena, Carrarese just continuing to prove everyone wrong. That's another result. I didn't realize that Cesena was missing Shipendi in all these games.
Right.
So this really, when I, this is the problem with predicting 3 games in one sitting is that you don't know what's going to happen. And
Absolutely.
definitely before the game, I could have definitely seen some Rich Carrerese winning. So
Especially at
that's what
home, as you
happened.
said, they've been, performing solidly in their hometown. So
Yeah. So, but I do get 1 point back here for predicting Catanzaro winning against Salernitana.
Salernitana is really bad shape. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming at
yeah,
all.
definitely not a good moment for them. And then Cittadella Palermo, which unfortunately the last minute goal from Masangelo did cost me a point here because it was on track for a draw. But I think if there was one result where I don't mind going against me is
Right.
it's this result. So Ilya, you have another streak of consecutive points for Juve Stabia Frosinone, a draw here, and you get another point, and then the final result, Sampdoria Pisa getting a win at the Marassi, and you get a point. So the final score, I think you do catch up. You get 6 here.
I think it never happened before for me, Jake. I never scored 6 points,
Yeah,
but this teaches us a lesson. Since we were predicting 3 rounds ahead, the less logical I am, the more accurate I become.
exactly. Yeah,
This
this
is
is
Serie B,
exactly that.
guys. The only certainty is unpredictability. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Correct me if I said it wrong, but the point is that it's just so unpredictable.
this is yeah, this might be one of your better performances. One day I'm gonna get like over 7, and that's gonna
Yeah,
be
I
great.
think you did once. You did score 7 once.
We'll have to see, but yeah,
And
it
look at
is
this.
tied
When I
up.
was behind by 4 points, I was able to catch up 74 to 74. And of course, our average per round is identical, 3.7. So we get about, almost 4 points right for each round. So anyway, it's fun. It's fun because, you
Wow.
can never cut me out, just like the Wolves. But
Yeah.
I'm constantly behind. I think I was never on a lead. I was never leading, maybe once or twice in 20 rounds. It's fun. It's fun. And
Crazy.
yeah. I hope that whoever is following our Wednesday live enjoys this game as much as we do. So
Yeah.
anyhow, carry on. Let's share our predictions on the upcoming round 21. These are the games, and yeah, you can start.
Yeah, maybe I should do these predictions with my eyes closed because the more less logic we have, it seems like we do better in this. But
Right.
Salernitana, Sassuolo, Salernitana getting I don't know who they've hired, but they should have a new coach by then. But Sassuolo just proving the machine they are. This game is kind of far away because it's not this upcoming weekend; it's the following
Right.
weekend. So a lot can change in terms of like injuries and terms of squad things. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the Knicks. I think,
All right.
yeah, why not? Because I think if they were playing tomorrow, yeah, I could definitely see Sassuolo
Sorry.
winning. But just given that this game is so far away, why not put an X there? This could be a new manager kind of thing, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. First of all, let's remember our audience that we are live, of course, today to start the year right on January 1st, but we will be skipping next week appointment and we will be live again on the 15th of January, always at 7 p.m. CET. So if you want to save the date, we will be here speaking Serie B. And look, before you introduced the Salernitana Sassuolo, I had X in mind. But in light of what you said, I'm going to be even bolder and I'm going to predict a home win for Salernitana, hoping that they can turn things around. After all, they are a relegated team, just like Sassuolo, and they're playing at home in front of their fans. They are coming from a very bad streak, like only 2 draws in the most recent 5 games and 3 losses, 2 consecutively. So 2 consecutive losses. So I want to hope that they can reopen basically the championship. So it's a 1 for me on Salernitana Sassuolo.
Wow.
We'll see. We'll see. The next game is Frosinone Cremonese. I have no idea because Frosinone seemed that it was able to turn things around. They won some, I think 2 consecutive wins. Then they lost 2 consecutive games. Now they won one and they draw the most recent one. How can you predict how Frosinone is going to perform, especially with Cremonese that regained the 4th place, but with 3 draws and 1 win and 1 loss in the 5 most recent games? So I don't know what to expect. Of course, I would hope that Frosinone can win. So they're playing at home, and I'm gonna try one for Frosinone Cremonese. I do hope that Frosinone is going to win this one.
Starting 2025 with some really bold predictions.
Absolutely, yes.
Here's the thing. So I think in Serie B, it's very, there's always this pause like after New Year's, just like a week or 2 weeks of no games. So I think, this is really where you're going to see like a lot of things are going to happen. You saw it with Cittadella last year. They were in 4th place at the start of the new year and they finished in 14th, and they had a really bad Girone di Ritorno. And, vice versa, you could look at Sampdoria, where they were in the kind of the relegation spots entering the new year, and they finished in the playoffs in 7th. So I think definitely also in the promotion mix, I can't see Sassuolo kind of, dipping below the top 2, but you could see Spezia rise up or, fall down. You could see Pisa. If I don't know if you remember 2 seasons ago where Inzaghi was still with Reggiana, they were in 2nd place, I think it was, starting the new year. And they just went on a really horrible streak where they were just losing games every week that really they almost missed playoffs. So they went from automatic promotion to just barely making the playoffs. So, I don't know if maybe he's learned his lesson, and I think definitely the fatigue is going to start to kick in from especially these teams like Spezia and Pisa, where
it's difficult to continue, to keep up solid performances, and it's this is a possibility to reshuffle the cards, and then there is the market session as well.
Yeah,
so that will
we haven't even talked about that. Yeah,
right,
definitely.
Right.
So I think and the same goes to like the bottom teams where maybe Cittadella, who knows, maybe they'll start to rise up, maybe they'll kind of dip below, or is Cosenza gonna be okay? Is Sutiro gonna be okay? So I think this is definitely it's going to be a different championship in this round, and like it always is in Serie B. So I think these predictions are going to be not so straightforward in these first upcoming rounds. But anyway, going on to mine, Frosinone Cremonese. I just can't trust Cremonese. I know they have a good squad on paper, but they're not winning games that they should be winning. So Frosinone's been playing better. I'm going to go for an X here. I think it'll be like a 1-1.
Got it. Palermo Modena, you're up.
All right. So Palermo is, I don't know if they're still siding with Dionisi, but this is really a frustrated fan base. They really they deserve better. And this is a team who is backed by City Football Group, and they have big ambitions. And they're just not performing well. And I think maybe this is the moment, the new year. Maybe they just needed that little bit of break. I think they'll bounce back. So a 1 for me.
All right. I must agree with you. I think that Modena has been overperforming lately, and that this potential victory could keep Palermo alive, meaning that now it's sitting at 24 points, and the playoff spots with Carrarese at 27, together with Bari and Catanzaro, is just 3 points away. So with a solid home win, they could start the year right, turning things around after collecting 4 losses in the 5 most recent games. So I agree. And playing at home is a great opportunity for them to start with the right foot. So 1 for me on this one as well, although it is already the 3rd one that I'm predicting in a row. But this is how I see it for now. The next game is going to be Spezia Juve Stabia. How can I not predict a 1 on this one? We need it. We have to. I don't know, because we made it look like a walk in the park in Castellammare di Stabia, winning 0-3. But it wasn't an easy game at all. I mean, Juve Stabia is a solid team, proven by the fact that he's sitting at the 5th place with 29 points, 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw in the most recent games. So they are, if we want to have the ambition to, after the 2 most recent performances at home and losing Ibari, if the team wants to prove the Piazza that we are serious about playing for the promotion, although we've been always talking about avoiding relegation, but to comfortably stay in the playoff zone and potentially keeping the gap to avoid the playoffs at all, we have to win this one. I mean, there is nothing else to add. So it's a 1 for me, and I hope that the team is not going to disappoint, that the Eagles can devour the Wasp.
Yeah, this is a really important game for Spezia. Right. They need to start 2025 with a really good performance against a difficult Juve Stabia side. And I know they beat them 3-0 in the Andata pretty comfortably, but I think this is definitely a different test. And, Spezia not winning these last 2 games, kind of losing a little bit of ground between the top 2. I think they really need to start this year off with the good, like you said, just to prove to themselves and to everyone that they are serious about finishing in that top 2. Will they do it? I don't know, because like Inzaghi, I said 2 years ago, Luca D'Angelo was in this position with Pisa, actually, a few seasons back, and they were in the fight for the top 2, and they did not start, I think it was 2022, off really well, and they ended up just finishing 3rd, just a few points from the 2nd place.
Before you share your prediction, let me tell you this: we lost Salvatore Esposito due to a yellow card, so he will not be playing this game. Especially, I mean, this is particularly important because it is the light of the midfield for Spezia, and because he's from Castellammare di Stabia. So he's one of those players that feel this game particularly because he's a fan of Juve Stabia. So I just wanted you to be aware of that in case you didn't remember before you share your prediction.
Yeah, well, I'll also saying that, I don't know if definitely the mental and the there's definitely this is another part of the second part of the season. How are these players going to deal with the pressure of being in these the promotion spots?
Yeah, because before it was we're just playing to avoid relegation and everything else came naturally and nobody was expecting anything from them. But now we know. Now we want. Now we believe. Now we dream. Yeah, so it's a whole different game. It's a whole different pressure.
For this, I'm going to say a draw for this. I think, the loss of Esposito is a big one. And, I think Juve Stabia is just going to escape there with the draw.
Yeah, I could see that happen, unfortunately. But hopefully, I want to hope. Reggiana Bari.
Reggiana Bari. Whew. This is, Bari kind of finding their form after those consecutive losses. Reggiana kind of, it's another team I don't know what to expect. They're kind of a mid-table and kind of up and down this season. I don't want to predict another X, so I'm going to say a Bari victory. I'm going to put it 2.
All right. It's not going to be a fun game for our game because I agree with you. If Bari is going to play in Reggio Emilia the way they played, even just the first half with Spezia, they are a serious team. Like, I'm not surprised by the I don't know how to say galletti. They're not chicken. You know what I mean? But I'm not say it again.
The Roosters.
The Roosters, thank you. I'm not surprised that the Roosters collected 14 consecutive results because they are a solid team. So if they're playing the way they played with Spezia, they're going to dominate Reggiana. That is been performing better, but ups and downs. So I agree. It's a 2 for me on this one as well, and we'll see how it's going to be. Südtirol Catanzaro. Catanzaro is a better team than Südtirol, especially for how Südtirol has been performing lately. They're at the bottom of the table with 18 points, behind, ahead only of Cosenza with the same amount of points of Salernitana. And Catanzaro is in 6th place with 27 points. Like, they're a cynical team, you know what I mean? Like, they're not throwing away points. So although they're playing in Bolzano, Südtirol proved themselves not to be unbeatable, losing with Cittadella in Bolzano. So I think it's going to be a 2 on this one. I think Catanzaro is going to win, so it's a 2 for me.
Yeah, I definitely expect Südtirol to have a very important winter market, and they could definitely have some new signings in time for this game. Like I said, it's not this weekend, but it's the following weekend, so there's still a lot of time for them to make new signings and to recover players. Long trip in general for Catanzaro, going all the way from the southern point of Italy to the most northern point. So it's a very long road trip. For some reason, I could just see Südtirol getting a really important 1-0 victory. So I'm going to say a 1 for this.
All right. Even an X might not be, they're all triple. Anything could happen, and you're right. They might get some new players, but
I will say, 2 seasons ago, where Cittadella, they were entering 2023 second to last. They were 19th. They had just lost 4 straight games, and they were entering Pisa. They played Pisa the first game of 2023. Pisa at that time were they were on an unbelievable streak. They hadn't lost in so many games. I think it was in months they had not lost. They were in the playoff spots. They were doing all these things. And, Cittadella, with their new signings, they went into Pisa and they got the win, which really was unimaginable 2 weeks prior to that. So it's definitely, I think the current form does matter, but at the same time, you never know what's going to happen in this.
Indeed.
Yeah, so
this game is Cosenza-Mantova.
Cosenza-Mantova.
You're up.
A tricky game. I'm going to say an X for this just because I don't know how Cosenza is going to be at the time. They did get the draw in the derby against Catanzaro, which, kind of proves definitely not an easy place to go. And I think Cosenza just always finds a way to score late to get those points needed for salvation. And, I don't know what to expect in this game. It's another, kind of a coin flip, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. Me neither. I hope that Cosenza can turn things around. I wouldn't want a team like Cosenza, the following, the history, to lose the league after they've been able to maintain it for a couple of consecutive years. And the loss in Reggio Emilia with Sassuolo didn't surprise anybody. But, after the draw in the derby, they proved themselves that they really want to fight until the last second, although they lost in Carrara previously. So, and the issue in light of the experience that Spezia have with Alvini is that if he starts well, he feeds off of the good emotion, the good vibes, the good situation. But he proved himself, at least last year in Spezia, that he didn't have the charisma, maybe the character to support the team to turn things around. I don't know how they're going to be moving in the market session because they seriously need some help, but I don't know how the ownership is willing to invest. I just want to hope that at home, with the support of the fans, they're going to be able to win. So I'm going to be predicting a 1. And I want to highlight that I don't know why, maybe the new year, but I did not predict an X just yet for round 20. And normally X's are my favorite. So anyhow, Cesena Cittadella. Cesena Cittadella. Cesena is not performing well at all. He's dropping like a rock, like 5 losses, I think, in the 4 losses in the 5 most recent games. Let me check. Yeah, only 1 win and then 4 losses in the 5 most recent games.
Without
Cittadella
scoring a goal.
Say it again?
Without scoring in the last
Right.
3 games.
Cittadella is shooting up like a rocket. So I'm going to break my predictions right now. Instead of predicting a 1 or a 2, I'm going to go for an X on this one, which is a good result for Cittadella, I would say. What do you think? So for me, it's an X.
Yeah, when you consider Cesena has been, very strong at home, I think this game is definitely going to depend on, I don't know if Shipendi is going to be able to play in this game. It's still kind of a ways away, and I don't know how serious the injury is, and I think that is a important piece for Cesena. Like I said, this is definitely a difficult stadium to play against, so the draw, I think, would be a good result for Cittadella. If they were playing tomorrow, I could definitely see Cittadella winning just based off their current form and the momentum.
Enthusiasm, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
Cesena, I think definitely both teams really need this break, just for Cesena to kind of slow things down, and for Cittadella just to kind of recover some players, get maybe a signing or 2 in, get them integrated into the team, to do it. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say an X for this.
All right. And what do you think about Brescia Sampdoria?
Yeah, 2 teams kind of not in a great moment. Sampdoria is really struggling at the moment, currently in 16th place. Only 4 wins this season. They haven't actually won since October 27th. It's a
Yeah, I
really
wanted to say that, under the guide of Leonardo Semplici, they have not won a game yet, but it's even
yeah,
longer than that, as you just highlighted. Good
and
job.
Brescia, they haven't won since early November, and that win did come against Sampdoria.
Huh.
So it's a very interesting dynamic when you really think. And actually, Brescia has only had 1 victory since October. So
Wow.
these are 2 really teams that are really struggling, and this is a really important game to open the new year for both of them to really kickstart one of their seasons. This is another game where I don't I don't know, man. I really don't know, because I said that Pisa Sassuolo was going to be kind of a tight game. Neither side was really going to want to afford a loss. I could see every time I've said that, it's the exact opposite has happened. So I have to predict something. So I'm gonna say a Sampdoria victory at 2.
All right. Long story short, I agree with everything you said, and the win is needed probably for both teams, but also for the morale of Leonardo Semplici. But I don't think they're going to get it on this one. Brescia's been drawing a lot, 4 consecutive draws in the 5 games. They're not going to lose at home. I don't see Brescia losing at home with Sampdoria. They're still recovering, basically, from the beginning of the season. So I'm going to predict my second X of the round. So it's an X for me.
Okay.
As far as the last game of the round 20, it is a derby. It is Pisa-Carrarese. Pisa lost in Carrara. And unfortunately, I don't see this happening again. So I think they're going to prove themselves that that was just a mistake. And in Pisa, the Nerazzurri are going to perform well in front of their fan base. So it's a 1 for me on this one.
Yeah, I think this is definitely an easy one for me. That was, if you do recall, that game was down to 10 men. Pisa were playing with a man less for majority of that game. So you do have to take that game with a grain of
Correct.
salt. But yeah, I do
Correct.
think Pisa is just gonna be too strong for Caradesi. Been a good streak for Caradesi. They've been getting a lot of good results, but I think it does stop here. So Pisa with the victory.
Got it. All right, we'll see. So to find out how we did, we invite you to participate to our next live, which will take place on January 15 and 7 p.m. CET. So we do invite you to follow our content on here on YouTube on both of our channels. To invite you to subscribe, share the comment, interact during the week, even while we're no longer live. And you can follow us on TikTok, as far as I'm concerned. Elia, the Italian guy, or Speziato on Instagram and TikTok, both profile. And as far as you, Jake, I'll let you close the episode. Go ahead.
Yes, you could follow me as always at Cheat the Culture USA on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. That's Cheat the Culture USA, and visit our website cheatthecultureusa.com for preview articles, all the news you need to have about AS Cittadella. You could find there. We'll be putting some transfer news up there soon as the rumors start to come in. So stay tuned to that. But yes, thank you, Ilya, for organizing this. It's been a great way to start the new year. Let's hope this year, at least for Cittadella, is going to be a bit more positive, and for you, for Spezia, continue their good form into 2025. And maybe this is the year for both of us, for Cittadella, that's for surviving, and Spezia getting promoted to Serie A for only the second time in history. So let's see what happens.
Indeed. So we'll see you on the 15th, and we will be speaking Serie B.